you're going to share the presentation, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Sharing, ma'am. Good morning, ma'am.
Okay.
Sharing. I'm just loading the PPT.
So we have still 2 minutes to go.
Yes, madam. Yeah.
Yeah. So Saurabh, we can see your presentation. You can keep the speakers poster.
No, I can't see any presentation. Why?
Ma'am,
I'm not able to see.
can you come to the meeting?
I can see, ma'am. You need to.
No, for me it's coming a blank. Should I change the view? Let me change the view and see.
Otherwise, relog in, madam.
So, no, I'm not able to see the PowerPoint at all. It's coming a blank screen.
Amit, you can do, madam can re-log in. You can start with Murthy, or that will be better, I think.
We will do that. Saurabh, please
ma'am.
be ready with Murthy sir's presentation.
No, I can't see the PowerPoint only.
No issue, ma'am. You just rejoin, ma'am.
Madam, you can log out
Why?
and rejoin. Madam, you can log out and rejoin. We'll start with Murthy. No problem, madam. Then we can see.
Okay.
Otherwise, mobile also can try, madam. Maybe some issue.
Madam, are you trying from two different instruments?
She moved out, sir. No issue. So Rahalya will start with the brief about manage, and Neetu will introduce the Murthy sir. We'll start with Murthy sir. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the 186th webinar of our Saturday webinar series hosted by Manage Center for Innovation and Agripreneurship. Myself, Dr. Rahalya, working as a Manage Fellow. So before going to the session, let me give you a short introduction about our center. So Manage here, it stands as a beacon of excellence in agribusiness incubation, operating under the esteemed National Institute of Agriculture Extension Management. With a rich history of nurturing entrepreneurship, our center has been instrumental in guiding 754 entrepreneurs and fostering the growth of over 383 startups across various sectors within the agriculture domain. We pride ourselves on our comprehensive support system, offering guidance and training to startups in crucial areas such as agro-processing, post-harvest technologies, value addition, home mechanization, animal husbandry, fishery, dairy, commodity trading, supply chain management, and agri-consultancy. Our commitment to the success of agripreneurs knows no bounds as we continue to refine their concepts and empower them to expand their ventures. So today's webinar is particularly exciting as we delve into the theme of building value proposition for agri-startups. So we are honored to have two esteemed speakers with us, and our first speaker is PVGK Murthy sir. He is the International Agri-Consultant and founder Ingrain Technologies. So let me call my colleague Neetu to introduce PVGK Murthy sir.
Very good morning to one and all. I am Neetu, working as Research Fellow at Manage. So our today's first speaker is PVGK Murthy, as my colleague was telling. So he is an accomplished international agri consultant and the founder of Indian Technologies based in Hyderabad. And he is also a committee member of Selection and Evaluation of Startups or Manage CAA. With over 25 years of experience in the agriculture and allied sectors, he specializes in providing consulting services, policy advisory, and strategy development. He has a strong background in agribusiness consulting, marketing research, impact analysis, monitoring and evaluation, and value chain studies. Prior to establishing his own Ingrain Technologies, he served as a director of Agribusiness Division at ITC Limited for over a decade. He also gained valuable experience as a marketing development officer at Madras Fertilizers, focusing on marketing and market development initiatives. He is also an alumnus of Manage. With this, I would like to invite Murthy sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for the introduction. So maybe in a couple of minutes, we'll start the presentation. Yeah. Basically, just before we start the presentation, the context is like this. I'm going to talk about, what is the kind of value our agri startups are creating, and what is the scope, and where we can really venture into, and where is the scope for success. So these are all some of the broad points we want to discuss today. So going by the definition of Philip Kotler, marketing is the science and art of exploring, creating, and delivering value to satisfy the needs of a target market at a profit. So basically, all startups are working for profit. So what is that we are offering to the customer? First thing is that we have to understand whether there is a need that should be addressed or not. This is a very, very important thing. When we are talking about the value proposition, unless there is a need to address, let us not really worry about that market. Okay. For example, there is a dearth of water, there is a dearth of irrigation water. I could see a lot of agri startups working on the water saving. Somebody will say that I have sensors. Somebody will say that I have an equipment, which can disperse water. I have a micro irrigation equipment. So we are basically sensed that there is a need for saving water, or there is a need for storage, enhancing the storage life of a product, or there is a need for cutting the transportation cost, or there is a need for enjoying new taste in a food product, there is a need for enhancing the flavor amplitude of one particular food product, or there is a need for enriching with protein, or there is a need for enriching with some other vitamins and all those stuff. What exactly is the need? So we are looking into the the value addition from our end. So is there any real solution, or is there any what you call a possible problem solving approach, problem solving method, or problem solving device from our end? It can be your service, it can be your product. Then how are you communicating with the customer? It can be a farmer, it can be a customer who is buying the food, or it can be an industry which is buying a technology, or it can be anything. It can be a common middle class Indian customer who is buying the groceries, if you are coming out with a grocery related product. First of all, understanding the customer need is of paramount importance. On the right side of the slide, you can see an advertisement from Tata company. Okay, Tata is saying that yes, we are there in the market from 1863. Nobody needs an introduction about Tata or Tata tea, because we all know about Tata tea, right? So what, for example, if you are coming out with a new tea brand, we are directly or indirectly competing with Tata, because Tata is there in the business from centuries, right? So what is that Tata is having? What is that my company is having, right? There is an element of trust which can be built over a period of time. Unfortunately or fortunately, we are startups. We don't have that kind of lineage, or we don't carry that kind of history, because for all the technical reasons, we are startups, we are starting now. So how do you really create the market differentiation, right? So basically, you have to convey to the customer or the prospective client that compared to the other products, my product has this particular advantage. That is point number one. We always talk about this because market is a competitive place. To position your product, you need to be more competitive. Either next slide please. You have to understand the market. But if you look at the markets operate in two ways. Market creates space for a lot of players. There are players who are highly cost competitive. There are players who are very high on cost. There are players who are basically delivering premium service at very high cost, or they have a premium product. If you take the example of Apple, it's a premium product, but there are a lot of people who are mad about Apple. They want to buy Apple products, they want to use Apple products, they want to change Apple products. iPhone 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever model comes, people are very, very eager to buy, whether it is needed or not. Technically it may not be needed. Please understand this. Technically it may not be needed. I may not need all the features of iPhone, but there is a psychological need to own an iPhone, right? So are we really creating this kind of psychological need or association or branding with our customers in agri startup level? Okay, there is a product. As a startup, I am starting with a product. The product has been finalized, or product plus service, a combo has been finalized. And there is a distribution channel, there is a dealer, there is a distributor, there is a customer. And the other side, there is a person who is designing the product. If this person or this company or the partners of this startup cannot understand the realistic needs of the market, the realistic, what you call the bandwidth to be designed for that particular product, to what extent it should serve the purpose, how are you really balancing the cost and also the value delivery, this would be a mess. Most of the times, it so happens key most of the startups come from non-business backgrounds. They don't understand business because they are not from business families. And most of them, they think, okay, I have one particular product, so I can win the market. The mindset is like, you might be having a very good product. You have one particular product. For example, I have a very good tea, but I cannot start a grocery store. I cannot start a kirana store just by having a good tea, isn't it? So if I am selling only tea, what are the overhead charges for my kirana shop? How many people will come to my shop? So if you are having only one solution in the given context, in the Indian scenario, basically we have to understand Indian scenario. Let us not design agriculture products or food products keeping developed countries in view or underdeveloped countries in view. Here it becomes very, very important for us to understand Indian market per se. India is very, very unique, and we have to really understand that. Next one, please. Yeah, if you look at the environment, today the environment is very fertile in the sense that every startup has a lot of support from the policy side, from the institution side. There are a lot of incubators like Manage, or every state has, every central government has, some of the state governments are also having incubation centers wherein they are ready to support your business to develop and to take it to a national or international level. And there are a lot of research organizations. There is a network. So today the environment is fertile. The technology is available. And what it requires to succeed is how far you are basically understanding the technology, how far you are stitching the technology to meet the unaddressed need of the client. It can be an agri input, it can be a food item, it can be any machinery, it can be anything, it can be service, anything. Next one, please. So if you look at this slide, you can see the matrix. We are talking about hydroponics, we are talking about the futuristic technologies, the drones are there. To some extent, people are there in this agri tech space, right? Agri tech space is very, very competitive, and technology has a limited life. Please understand this. I'm coming out with a new technology today. The life period of this particular technology is defined, or even if it is not defined, it is only to the limited extent. So the name of the game is continuous upgradation. Where are we? Today I am here, tomorrow am I going to upgrade? Before I could upgrade, is my competitor coming and taking my place with a new product, with a better technology? This is what is going to define. So we are talking about agri technologies in the sense that people use sensors, people use algorithms, people use AI, people use other technologies, RFID or whatever technologies. But these are the technologies which are basically, I would call all these technologies as supporting technologies. But there is a core technology which is farming technology. Please understand this. We have to understand the farming. Farming technology is something like, how you can really enhance the value of the farm, how you can enhance the value of the produce both in terms of quality, quantity, salability, acceptability, and sustainability, right? Unless you do this at farm level, it cannot sustain. So most of the people, they come out with various solutions. We also ran kind of solutions which may not really survive in the long term. And if you look at the given scenario in the market in India, there are a lot of products, but there are a lot of failures also. Why failures are there? Next one, please. The failure is because we are not really creating any value of higher order, right? We are also competing with the existing players. We are unable to create new value. Even if somebody is able to create new value, that is not worth the cost that has been spent on that. That is the real issue in the market. If you look at this slide, these people are pioneers. They have created artificial leather from opensia, cactus. Okay, so this is one, I would say, pioneering startup, because there is a great value creation. On the other side, please understand, the value creation is great because the existing biological leather is unable to cater to the global demand. So who will bridge that gap? So these people could come out with a artificial leather which could really bridge that gap. And this is where, see, please understand, where is the gap? That is where the future lies. Next one, please. Yeah. The right side of the slide shows the old car, and the left side, it's a modern car, the latest car. If you are looking at the perspective, you may be capable of providing the latest technology, but is the system needing that? System may or may not need that. You have the highest order technology, you have priced it well, but does the system need such technologies? For example, it is like running Vande Bharat train from point A to point B. Keeping one Vande Bharat train, or you are keeping two normal trains. Which one will better serve the country, better address the travel needs of the passengers? Vande Bharat, it is serving a different set of clientele. Normal train is also going to serve a different set of clientele. Where we are really matching the the need with our kind of product or service, right? It is like, what exactly is the affordability of the customer, what exactly is the technical feasibility of their form, what exactly is their fitment into the new product, and what exactly is our fitment, are we really fitting into their scheme? That is more important. Next one, please. Yeah, if you look at agriculture story in India, we never had startups. I would say from past 10 years only, we are very busy with startups. If you look at the growth story of agriculture from 1950, none of these years we registered a negative growth. Agriculture story, growth story is fantastic in India. Agriculture developed, farmers remained the unsung heroes for decades together, and even today, agriculture is growing, we are doing well, there is no famine. It means that the sector is doing well. So, if you are looking at this particular table, where can you really add value in 2024? If without any startup, Indian agriculture could grow to this extent to cater to the food needs of the growing population of India, where are you really adding value? According to some estimates, any startup should basically add something like 30 to 35% additional income to the farmer when you are introducing some new product into the company, or new product into the agri input system. Are we able to do that? That is the question. So you are basically, as an agri startup, you are basically entering into a business which has already been growing, right? So this is where you have to think twice. It is not, you are not getting into a decelerating economy. It is already accelerated economy. So are we really contributing? If we are really contributing, to what extent? What is the percentage of growth you are capable of contributing? Next one, please. Yeah. Yes, we have new products, Agri-Startups, but only thing is these new products, for example, this A2 ghee, half kg 1650. Lot of brands we have in A2 ghee. Are we really addressing the normal bandwidth, or are we creating products only to the super rich? What is the kind of proposition, value proposition we are building? Can we really bring some kind of ghee which is catering, which is in between product between A2 and normal ghee, which is sold at 400 rupees a kg? Is there any midway to this? Next one, please. So this is the old strategic principles, like either you go with cost leadership or differentiation principle, or you are going with specialization. Where do you really pitch in? Next one, please. So this is where we try to understand the market. This is the classic basically bell curve about innovators, early adopters, late adopters, early majority. But by the time you start your business and reach to a certain level, you already face a lot of competitors. For example, you have captured something like 1.5% of the innovators. Your competitor is also starting from somewhere. He is going to capture the remaining part. The real competition is not in the beginning. The real competition is after a year or two, because unless and until you have competitors in the market, we don't know where we stand in terms of providing features in your product, or in terms of richness of your services to the clientele. So by the time it would be already late. So this is the real competition. The real competition comes in acquiring early adopters and early majority, not the innovators. Next one, please. So these are the known food giants, basically brands from abroad. Next one, please. Yeah, if you look at the experience of global brands in India, for example, if you go to a Tata Starbucks coffee shop, I'm not belittling anybody, but I have great respect for Tatas. But if I go to a Starbucks coffee point, I need to order. I need to go to the counter. I order the coffee. Then I need to go back. Once the coffee is ready, he will call my name, and I have to go back and fetch my coffee. Where is the service? I don't really find the value for my money. If you compare this Tata Starbucks, and there are new generation coffee shops like Third Wave Coffee, at least Third Wave Coffee is better in terms of serving the people. The space is higher, the ambience is better, right? So are we really, when you look at the growth story of Starbucks idea is to capture as many customers as possible. If you look at the growth story of Starbucks was positioning its joints all across the streets. In a busy street, if already Starbucks joint is there, somebody else is coming and starting another coffee shop. Starbucks used to position one more coffee shop in the same street, because when your competitor is coming and establishing a shop in that street, it means that there is business for our coffee. So let me establish one more store in the same street. This is how the thinking used to be. This is how they captured a lot of people, and this is how they could really create branding, right? Next one. So the idea is, I want to touch upon 4 or 5 points and close. Basically, we are looking at farming technology. Whatever technology or whatever the product you are coming out with, it should really serve the farming. Your product is not about creating software. Your product is not about creating what you call a digital thing. Everybody is digitally empowered. Even a coconut seller on the street side is empowered with digital technology. That is the greatness of India today. And let us not lose track of the fundamentals. For example, a lot of companies work for creating a what you call a storable coconut water product. If you ask me, why should we think about storing coconut water? Coconut water basically tastes well when it is served in freshness, right? Let us not lose the intrinsic value. Let us not plan for something else which may lose the intrinsic, which may cause loss of the intrinsic value of this particular product, right? So these are all some of the fundamentals. Then association with customers. Anything related with agriculture cannot be achieved overnight with a technology. Technology is great, but unless you have the association of farmers, that should happen over a period of 1 or 2 seasons, at least 3 seasons, that is 1.5 years. That is required to integrate the technologies. And more than a technology, this is how well you integrate the technologies and work with the farmer. You cannot have a single product to win over the farmer, right? Let us have 2 to 3 technologies, or at least one technology from my side, and I dovetail with 2 3 other startups. I offer an integrated solutions at a single go. That is where the future is heading in terms of agriculture, because I, as a farmer, I cannot touch upon 4 5 startups for different services. Next one. That's it. Thank you so much. Any questions, feel free. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Murthy sir. I think
Thank you.
basically in this 20 minutes you given the mantra to the agri startups that what they should do to develop their own value proposition that can be really acceptable in the market. You rightly given the thing that what is the need and what is the psychological need, how the startups can develop. And a very important point you mentioned at the last slide, that is the technology which is actually acceptable in the market, fundamentals of the products, market acceptance, then the intrinsic value of the product, and the association with the stakeholders, that to with the farmers or with your any the stake mediators who are involved in your business. So I think your this trick is going to be really helpful to the participants, and definitely they will have some questions. So I request to the participants, kindly put your questions in the chat box that we will take up after the second speaker's session. So with this, we thank you, Murthy sir, and we welcome our next speaker, Radhika ma'am. So Rahalya, please.
So our next speaker is Dr. Radhika Meenakshi Shankar ma'am. She is a founder, Visual Consulting, and she is also committee member of RKVY-RAFTAAR project. So she holds a PhD in micro, small, medium enterprises with a focus on change management and business process reengineering, which she pursued from Usmania University. Prior to her doctoral studies, she completed her Master of Commerce degree from Madras University. Additionally, she obtained a postgraduate diploma in marketing management, and her academic journey reflects a deep-rooted interest in commerce, management, and organizational change. She serves as the director of the Center for Entrepreneurship Development, and in this role, she was responsible for organizing training sessions focused on entrepreneurship development and skill enhancement, particularly in rural and urban areas for various ministries of Government of India. With this, I am introducing Dr. Radhika Meenakshi ma'am. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello. Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for this invitation. My topic for today will be to talk on value creation, especially in agri sectors, agri startups. Now, what is value creation? Professor Murthy had clearly articulated quite a bit on the ecosystem and how it works. But I would like to get back to the basics and say business is nothing but exchange of value. And how do we see a business? And, I'm going to start a business, and you say, what is it? Then you say it is nothing but an exchange of value, where people come and give money to buy something they need. So it is a product or a service. It could be anything, but they are willing to pay money to buy that, right? So currency value, there is one value that's created through currency. The other is when people buy, they buy a product. The product satisfies a particular need or solves a particular problem. And that is why they want that product or the service. So therefore, they get value through the many benefits that come from these products and services. So the business, in turn, the company gets cash for creating that product. The customers who pay the cash get a product that will give them value. So that's why we say a business is nothing but an exchange of value. Having got into this fundamental, next slide, please. We go on to understand that when you're talking about value and what is product value, right? So to get a more better, clearer definition, we would define the value as nothing but a bundle of all the benefits and the economic value that a product or the company promises to deliver through its products to the customers. Whether the customers are current or future, it doesn't matter. But whoever buys their product or services, they give them this full mix of benefits. Now, these benefits could be of different kinds. It can be tangible, one which you can touch, or some benefits we can only feel, right? And that is intangible. We'll go and discuss these things in detail in the coming slides. But how do businesses create more and more value, right? They can create more and more value by adding certain features in their products, or by deleting features even, right? Or by enhancing certain features, or by decreasing certain features. We'll go into that a little more in detail, but value creation is in the hands of the startup or the company. And they can create value, as I said, through their features. They can create value through their delivery system, like the pizza delivery in 10 minutes or Jingalala or a Zepto delivery in 10 minutes, right? So the delivery can also create value for the customers. And of course, economics of value, which in terms of cost savings or increased productivity, these are all various values that can be created by the product or service manufactured or given by an enterprise or a startup to the customers. So in turn, we look at, yes, value is benefits. That is accrued for whom? It is accrued for the customers. Next, please. So as I already pointed out, value could be some monetary value, could be social value in terms of clean air or climate change compatibility, reduction in carbon emissions. These are all some social values. Or it could be some specific problems that has been solved, or some efficiencies that have been improved, or some new experiences which have been enhanced. Like your listening, iPod went ahead to increase your listening, music listening experiences, right? Or desire fulfilled, something which is some unmet desire in you that has been met. All this create value, right? And maybe the functions are performed much better, the design is beautiful, or the quality is very superior. And therefore, as I already pointed out earlier, values could be, tangible or intangible, relevant or even irrelevant. But mostly all values are quite relevant to that particular stakeholder. Next, please. So, are there kinds of values? Yes, this was one of the most path-breaking research and framework that came out as elements of value, right? So, the value created with products has got certain elements. And this was actually brought out by Bain and Company, right? They brought out actually two value pyramids, as they call it, in which they articulated the various elements of value that a product or a service can bring. Not that every product, like they've given some 30 odd values that a product or a service can create. Now, whether your product comes within this or not, it's okay, but it's just a general guide. And I thought we can set the context by talking about it. So Bain and Company actually divide and give us two pyramids, which I'm going to show you in the next slide, which is the value pyramid for any startups that is working directly to the customers, or any startup. The second pyramid talks about B2B, where startups, customer clients are other businesses. So they say that though the value created, the benefits accruing, value and benefits accruing is the same, but they look at it in a different angle when the customers are individuals and when customers are retailers or other business, or other businesses itself are your customers. So let's look at what Bain and Company says is values can be put in a pyramid where you at the bottom of the pyramid are the basic functional values. Like functional values could be something like your cost savings, where they try to bring down savings in your cost, savings in time, like your washing machine brings down some savings of your time, saving of efforts, you don't have to do a hard work, so all this the machine could do it for you. So the tiller, the plower, all these things take over your mundane work in terms of physical work, and they do it, automation, all these things. So these are functional jobs. There are also certain emotional jobs that business that products do for us. And like emotional jobs is like reduction in anxiety. Like for example, the very fact that what could be the weather, the prediction of the weather, the climate, to some extent reduces the farmer's anxiety as to what could be the damage on his crop. So these are some of the things that, sort of reduction in anxiety. Then you have these crop insurance. They actually reduce my risk a bit, right? So reduction of risk is also an emotional value that can be created, right? So then there are also certain life-changing values that can be got. Like for example, some deep motivation, some good schemes by the government that can change the entire outlook of the farmers. So these are all called some life-changing values that can come, right? And on top of the pyramid is the social value that a product can bring about. For example, any of these sustainable value producing products, like let's say for example the drones which are using precision agriculture now, where precisely you can go and apply the fertilizer or anything on the plant such that there is increased productivity of the and increased yield and reduction in the amount of chemicals that are being applied. So these are all some of the very laudable, sustainable, social values that a product can bring, right? Besides the functional value that when application of fertilizers will increase yield, precisely applying it could also bring a reduction in chemicals which will help in combating climate change, right? So these are some of the basic value norms. Can you please change the slide? Yes. So this is the first pyramid that I'm talking about, where we are talking about B2C. And if you see, as I talked to you, the functional is in the bottom, and you have things like saving of time, simplification, basic simplification of work process, right? All your grading, sorting are all done automatically by sensors. And again, as I said, there are entertainment, fun, therapeutic value, health, right? So the spraying of pesticides by farmers themselves could cause some health issues. Now, when that is done through a drone or an automated machine or a robo, obviously that is going to bring about more health and wellness to the society at large, right? So then, and as I already pointed out, there is some life-changing values that can be brought. For example, forming them into groups like Ninja Card did, forming farmers into farmer groups, Ninja Card farmer groups, right? And thereby bringing about a big change in them is a good life-changing thing, because they get exposed to so many newer things, right? And as I told you, on top of the pyramid is self-transcendence, which talks about providing goodness and value to the society at large. Next slide. Now, this slide is what we are looking at, is the B2B value pyramid that we are talking about. And this especially came out during the COVID times in 2020 in the Harvard Business Review. Now, here what they say is, just like how a B2C business looks for certain values, B2B businesses also look for certain values. Now, the first at the bottom of the table are the basic table requirements, as they call it, right? So as a business, I may require a particular kind of spare part, right? And I have the specification. Now, unless as a vendor you qualify that you are making that in the specifications, then only you're qualified to become a vendor for this particular customer. So that is the minimum amount of things that is required. So that is called as the table stacks, right? So what you require basically. Then of course the functional value, whether it will perform better, and it will increase the businesses through productivity by, let's say, increasing the better usage of raw materials, and for example, whether it will increase their their time, or reduce their labor, or reduce their time much better, increase their quality. Those are the things that you look at, functional value basically. And the next is ease of doing business, right? So for example, will it reduce the time, and all those things are basically the ease of doing business, whether it will dovetail into the existing technology, will it get integrated into the system, will it get connected to the departments of the company. So these are all various things that, will this technology integrate with the existing technologies. So these are the things that business to business seek value in terms of benefits they look for when they are planning to buy a product, right? So these are the benefits that they look for. Besides this, the company individually, it's not individual, the company as an individual would look at, if I'm looking to buy from this company, will my name enhance? For example, if I'm going to supply to a big company like the Tatas or Birlas, as a small startup, my reputation gets enhanced, right? So the individual value that it brings by collaborations and exposure, knowledge, best practices, all these things are the individual values that a particular product or service can bring to the company at large. And last but not the least are the inspirational values we talk about in terms of society, and especially post-COVID, social responsibility, availability, being available, all these matter a lot. So the top 6 values that B2B businesses look for is, are you socially aware? Are you being socially responsible by taking care of the wastes, not contributing to the climate change, etc.? Are you able to reduce the anxiety of supply, right? Assuring correct supplies, being stable, being there, and not, So these are some of the values that B2B companies look for. Now, both these pyramids are given by Bain and Company. Next slide, please. So again, I'm just quickly going through this. The main person of Bain and Company, Jamie Clayhorn of Bain and Company, as actually is the one who devised all these value pyramids. So again, I'm just going through for more understanding. If you want to save time, like saving time is a great value. Like example, the drone spraying, reducing efforts, again, could be drone saving or machine doing it, the work that you want to do. Simplifying, for example, the credit rating of farmers was very difficult process, but now we have data that captures all that and keeps it, and the data analysis can serve the credit rating. Cost reduction by buying it in bulk or doing rentals and leasing, etc. Quality, as you all know, for example, today we have robots which use sensors and grade the agricultural produce, which will therefore help you to identify your quality much better. Varieties, of course, today we have enough amount of varieties in various things. Now, especially in the organic sector, which is really growing, organic farming, organizing all agricultural info and giving it to in one plate, in one dashboard, is one of the biggest values that you can even think of. Integrating of multiple agricultural work into a single product, like, for example, integrating a load of work, like multi-purpose automated harvester, for example, is a great example for integration. Connection is another great value. So when the FPOs are all connected, etc., you get all information to all the group members. But more important, I would like to talk about IT wearables. Today is one of the biggest things, especially in the dairy and poultry and other sectors. We have these wearables like Stella Apps is one of the startups that are doing it, where these wearables are implanted in dairy farms and on the cows, and you get real-time information about the cow milk and nutrition of the cow on your palm of your hand, right? So you're connected regularly. And of course, today there are a lot of these connecting apps that connect you to, through IoTs, etc. You are connected to, let's say, the poultry farm, and you know which exactly is the bird which who's not keeping well, because these IoTs scan the eyeballs of the birds, and they are able to predict which bird is actually falling sick, etc. So these are some of the things that I'm talking about. So functional values that are created through various features in the products. And let's say making money is a great value, right? How do you make money? If I'm able to make more money. So some things like waste management, like closed economy that we're talking about, where I buy the farm waste, convert it into manure, and give it back to the farmer. So this is a closed loop, right? So you may help the farmer to make money because he can sell his wastes, so that, and then he gets back the manure at a lesser price. So these type of closed loop is called closed economy, and today they bring great value to all the stakeholders around. We talked about risk reduction, and as I talked to you earlier, let's say spraying the pesticide is by using robots or a sprayer, automated sprayer or drones, definitely reduces the risk of more chemicals being inhaled by the sprayer person, or overspraying can also be prevented. So these are some of the values that are created. And let's talk about when I'm talking about functional values as examples. Next slide, please. So can we measure value? Why should we measure value? Right. One of the important things that why we need to measure value is that, it will give us the impact that the product is giving. Are we on the right track? If you're talking about becoming a business success, then you should be always monitoring whether you're creating the right value and for your stakeholders, right? So the impact measures. How do I measure value, right? Is it measurable, first of all, right? Obviously, you have to do a lot of research, the various feedbacks that you get from your customers. All these will help you to measure your value. But then you need a unit to measure, right? So one of the latest ways in which you can measure value or the benefits accruing to your customers is by measuring what is called as, by Professor Clayton Christian, as jobs to be done. Now, what are jobs? Jobs are basically customer expectations. When I buy something, what are my expectations? Like, for example, when I buy a milkshake, my expectation is that it should give me nourishment, it should be cooling, and it should be tasty, right? These are some of the expectations. And therefore, if your milkshake, features of your milkshake, and if you own a milkshake shop, what are the things that you will add through your features of the milkshake to make it more value to the customer, right? So for example, if you are adding some Ayurvedic herbs to the milkshake in order to make it more healthy and resistant to COVID and all that, immunity and all the stuff, then obviously you are adding more value to it. And therefore, you need to look at whether it will compromise on the other value which you're talking about, taste, right? So why I'm saying this is, every product or service does certain jobs as per Professor Clayton Christian. This becomes more easier for us to measure value because it's very, very simple. Is this map what the customers want the product to do for them. Map your customers' expectations. What are the jobs they want to be done? Now, these jobs could be functional jobs, could be emotional jobs, or could be social jobs, right? So for example, functional job is when you go to a vegetable shop, you expect to buy vegetables and it should be fresh, right? The emotional job that a vegetable shop could do for you is when you're going, if you find your favorite vegetables always in a good condition, fresh and clean, well kept, right? These are all emotional values that you get when you go and visit as a customer. You want to go buy vegetables. These are the social jobs, is of course at a larger health. When we eat healthy, we become healthy, and the society at large becomes healthy, right? So these are functional. Like for example, when we are looking at, these are the jobs to be done by the customer who wants to buy the vegetables, right? So there are pains and there are gains. For example, the pain is there's a traffic jam, to you have to walk a long distance to come to the shop. So these are some of the pains, access. Or when you go to the shop, there's a huge crowd and you can't pick it up yourself, you just have to take. So these are all what are called as irritants, right? And then there are certain lot of gains, values that you get. For example, you could be delighted that today if you buy one vegetable, you are getting another vegetable free, right? So these are some of the sudden delights that you can get when you visit the vegetable shop. Now, basically, what I'm trying to do is take the jobs and
Sorry,
see
Radhika
that.
ma'am, sorry to interrupt you, but can you
Uh,
complete next another
yeah,
2,
I
3
will.
minutes?
I will.
Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
So now this should be matching with the product features. So if I'm going to have a vegetable shop, what all should I do? Now that I know what the customer wants, what all features should I keep in my shop so that I, you know, complete the jobs that my customer requires. For example, I can keep a scanner under each vegetable, and they can scan, and immediately their prices will come into their bill. Things like this can avoid a big queue, right? So those are the things that we're talking. Next slide, please. Next slide. So that's all we talk. Next slide. This I'm doing of Ninja Cart. I have done in that example. So that's all. So the only thing that I would like to end by saying is just go back to the slide. Yeah, no, before that, please. Before that. There are only 4 steps to value creation. One is map your customer expectations. And number 2 is map your features. And make sure you know what benefit each of the features give. The third step is to match what your customer wants, which you have found out through research. Match it with the features of your product. See whether each of the features satisfies a particular expectation of the customer. If you have more than 75% fit, then you're ready to launch yourself in the market and be good. If not, if that fit is not there, revise it. So add new features, delete features, or enhance features or reduce features. These are the only 4 things you can do. And all you can do is only with your features, because you can't go and change your customer's mind. You can only change your features. So value creation is in your hands with the building of features. Thank you very much. I'm now ready for questions.
Yeah, I would like to say thanks, ma'am, for a very wonderful session and very short time you try to convey the entire the message to the agri startups in a what way they can actually develop their product value proposition in terms of features, or that maybe in terms of development, or in terms of economical value proposition offering. So it's a really nice and a very nice and short message you given to the startups that money actually brings the value to your product. So at the end, the customers, if they feel happy, the money for the value. So yeah, of course, they will get a good business out of it. So with this, we say thanks once again to ma'am, and the forum is now open for the questions and answers. So I request once again to all the participants, kindly put your questions, or you may raise the hands to directly ask questions to the speakers that we will take up now. So yeah, I have also put few questions to both the speakers. So yeah, the first question is from my end, ma'am, to the both the speakers, that sometimes agri starters are not able to differentiate between what exactly the unique they're offering, or what kind of value propositions are they bring into, while they are pitching, maybe for the getting the investments or maybe for the grants. So in a way that what will be your advice, whether they should focus on the all entire part of the their business model, or the something which actually makes them, that can get them to the investable startup idea. So what will be your suggestions? Maybe we can start with the Murthy sir. What will be
What
your
happens
suggestions?
is like, we are, as a startup, if my lookout is to get the funding, that is not the right way of, approaching the issue. I should basically understand what exactly is the problem I am going to solve. Then money will flow in. See, it is like understanding the pulse of the customer. Once you do that, business will happen, then money will flow. It is like if I am trying to weave a story to get money, then that's not the approach. I think that's from my side.
Radhika ma'am, you want to add something?
Yeah. So my take is that if you want to be better off than your competition and you want to be a huge success, right? The only way is when you do a competition analysis. Are you solving the problem for the customer cheaper, faster, and better? Are you providing more value? And that's why I said at the beginning, it's better you do a comparison of your features vis-a-vis the value that is brought by your competitors' features, right? And then you start looking at whether you can improve your features, add new features that can add more value, or decrease certain features that will provide them better value because those features are not there, right? So one is comparing with your competitor and refining your product features. And the other is, of course, changing your business model itself, right? So it is just not the product features alone that can create value, even your business model. For example, changing your channels of distribution to carry that value and deliver it, right? Simple changes in channels, the right channels would therefore bring more value to the customers. Like if you can bring it to the doorstep, right? Then I think that would be a great value then for them to go all the way far to buy and reduce the risks of traveling so much to or getting into a lot of hassles to buy the good. So that's my take on value. You compare with your competitors and look at your business model and see if you can make changes. That way also you can create value, right? Innovate.
Very true, ma'am. I think you rightly pointed out that we have to, of course, we have to keep our one eye into the market with the competitors, and at one end, how we can bring more value in our business model, so that can give the very delightful experience to your stakeholders. Of course, very true. I think these suggestions are really going to help to the our participants and agri startups. So I'm just going in the attendees side. There is one question is coming from the Sharat Pan. This question is, of course, for the both the speakers. Is there is any easy tool to map the expectations of the customers? Of course, they need to identify what exactly the customers are expecting, and if any can you can suggest to them that can be helpful to the budding entrepreneurs, agri startups, ma'am.
Tool is the basically you make the field survey. That is the ultimate thing. Or sit with farmers and spend time with them. Very simple actually. All you need to do is spend time and energy. That's it.
Ma'am,
I
you want
per-
to add something?
I think I'll go with Murthy sir on this. There's nothing like GOOTB. Get out of the building and talk to people. Do a lot of research, understand insights, talk to your customers, get from customers, I wish this product had this. I wish my problem. No, these are the wishes, right? These are things that you should map. And those are the things that you have to come back and get insights. Okay, what do my customers want, right? So the only tool is get out of the building, talk to your customers, talk, and it should be continuous. Be in touch with your customers, be updated about their requirements, and that is one. The other thing is there any tool for getting that answer that why customers have to buy your product? I think you need to first understand why customers will not buy your product. That will help you to build your startup far more better. Why will I not buy the product, right? So once you understand why the customer is not buying your product, you can create features to make them buy that product. For example, if they say it's too costly, then can you, add a feature where you will provide them an EMI tie up with some financial company so that they can pay it, or you provide it, they can rent it out or lease it out for a certain period of time. So those are the new features that you can add, and therefore bring the customer who will not buy your product to make him buy your product, right? So that is what I would. And of course, the last but not the least, I would, today's world and generation, ask ChatGPT.
Yeah, very,
But don't believe
very
everything
true.
ChatGPT says, guys. They are just a guide. It'll at least give you a path to look at.
Very true, ma'am. I think a simple way Murthy sir also mentioned, and Radhika ma'am give the suggestions that go and talk with the people, talk with the stakeholders, and identify the gaps, and then you try to develop your product. It's a very, the ma'am always to our starters, both the speakers are mentors for the managed CIA. They always say that get out of the building and talk with the farmers, and then you talk about your solution. So it's a very nice message to all the attendees. I'm going to the time is running out, so I'll take up one question. Hand raise coming from the Apanna. So I'm just going to unmute him. Apanna, can you hear us? Hello? Apanna, you have any question to the speakers? I have just unmute yourself. Yeah, Apanna, can you hear me? Anyways, yeah, I'll just quickly move to the next question, which is coming from the DK Sharma, that how financing persons or the organizations evaluating the starters for getting the funds and grant, and if anything tool is there. I think he's asking about the startup valuation and that kind of things. That is maybe different, and the topic is also different. But maybe if time permits, will Murthy sir or maybe Radhika ma'am can take up this question.
See, evaluation is basically it's a different what you call topic. Probably you can pass on our numbers, and because
Yeah.
that takes long time to really
Very
explain.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So DK Sharma sir, it's a totally with financial things, so valuation and those things.
Um,
Yeah, we are coming with a few topics in an upcoming webinar. So that time I think you will get more information, and we have already shared the speakers' details also in the chat box, so that
Amitji,
you
just
can.
if you don't mind,
Please ma'am, please go
uh,
ahead.
I would like to just answer DK Sharma
Yeah,
question in a very, very, very brief way, and it's nothing but I would just say it's a micro drop in the huge, vast ocean of how do you evaluate a startup for funding and grant. But basically, if you look at it, there are 4 C's, I would say. One is the competency of the business itself, and the number 2 is the character of the and of the startup founders, and of course the commitment that the business brings, the economic commitments that it can bring, and collaborations that it has. So, and of course, last but not the least, even the collaterals that they can bring as security. So these are some of the 5 C's that we can talk about while evaluating for a funding. So, in short, competencies, the characters of the team, the commitments of the business, economic commitments and collaborations, and those are the things that we look at broadly.
yeah. Very in a short time, I will try to cover up a very the whole topic of the valuation part. I hope DK Sharma ji you got the answer. Yeah, Aparna ji, if you are facing any issue, you can always connect to the speaker. The details already we have in the chat, put in the chat box. Yeah, so time is already there. So, but before to end of this webinar, I would like to say thank you to the both the speakers. And there are few announcements for the all the attendees that Manage has opened the applications for the Manage Agri-Record 2024 edition, where the startups can get opportunity to present their ideas and can get funded under the RKVY-RAFTAAR program schemes. And very special from this financial year onwards, the students also can get the funding for 4 lakh rupees. So do not miss this opportunity. To get the more details, please visit our website, our social media pages. Please follow, so you'll get regular updates about these programs. And do not forget to provide us the feedback of the today's webinar. The links also we have put in the chat box. And yeah, With this note, I would like to say thanks to Dr. Saravanan sir and entire my Manage CIA team for hosting this webinar. Thanks all the participants, and thanks a lot for both the speakers once again.
Thank you.
Madam,
Thank you.
thank you, Murthy garu.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, madam.
Take care.
Nice to hear you, both of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.